want connectivity to share their images on social media.
Death by selfie. It's a relatively new phenomenon.
You get to show everybody at home on your social media.
They're in nature, they're seeing it still through a screen.
Did you feel that? In just a few seconds, the common beauty of nature was interrupted, not by thunder or wildlife, but by a phone. That moment captures exactly what's at stake in today's debate. National parks were created to help us disconnect, to step away from the constant noise of the modern world. But now, some people want to build cell phone towers inside them, bringing that noise right back in. Should cell phone towers be allowed in national parks? I don't think so. Adding more technology to the most natural places on Earth goes against everything these parks were meant to protect. Cell towers don't just ruin the peace and quiet, they also harm wildlife, destroy ecosystems, and take away the chance to be truly present in nature. In a world that's always online, national parks might be the last place where we can still be offline, and that's something worth protecting.
If you have Wi-Fi in a park, sometimes you'll see the kids sitting around the visitor center.
There's a lot of visitors that come here that are so wrapped up into technology.
Tweeting about it, and they don't really want to walk anywhere, maybe.
They don't realize when they come to Yosemite National Park that it's basically a black hole for all cell phone service.
I would be so sad if the whole park had Wi-Fi.
Even though they're in nature, they're seeing it still through a screen.
According to Audubon Community Nature Center, your body could be present, but your mind absent. People often walk swiftly through a sea of green while texting or talking on their phone, never noticing the flowers at their feet or the birds in the trees. Sometimes people just sat outside and watched the world go by for a while. Nature relieves stress. In a world full of electronics and noise, that is what is important. According to Lisa Nesbitt, a psychologist in Ontario, Canada, you can boost your mind just by walking in nature, even in urban nature.
U.S. First Lady Lady Bird Johnson was a strong proponent for the beautification of America. She believed that billboards, ugly buildings, signs, and telephone poles negatively affected people's mental health and contributed to higher crime rates.
And the sense of connection you have with the nature world seems to contribute to happiness even when you're not physically immersed in nature. In the University of Vermont, they did a study with 700 participants that revealed that participants' smartphones activity actually increased during visits to city parks and other urban green spaces. Participants who visited nature reserves or forests saw significant declines in screen time over the past 3 hours, compared to the visits to urban locations for the same amount of time. The team found that young adults in the study spent over twice as much time on their smartphones as they spent outdoors. Increased smartphone use has been linked to rising cases of anxiety, depression, and sleep problems, especially in the younger generations. At the same time, research from the University of Vermont has shown that nature has restorative benefits for our minds and bodies that deliver a sense of joy. Researchers theorize that the visuals and sensory experiences of nature help strengthen individuals' ability to better focus on life beyond their smartphones.
When we talk about building cell phone towers in national parks, the focus is almost always on us. How we can stay connected, how we can make phone calls, how we can post photos from the top of a mountain. But in that conversation, we forget about the creatures who already live there, the birds, bats, insects, and animals that make the places truly alive. They don't need stronger cell service, they need the quiet balance of nature that allows them to survive. Research shows that cell tower radiation, even at very low levels, can harm wildlife in serious ways. Environmental scientist Joel Moskowitz explained that RF radiation, even at low levels emitted by cell towers, harmed every model of animal studied. That means the effects have been seen across species, mammals, birds, reptiles, and insects alike. Animals rely on Earth's natural magnetic fields for almost everything: navigation, migration, finding food, even building nests or dens. When those fields are disturbed by electromagnetic radiation, the consequences can be devastating. For example, migratory birds often use a planet's magnetic field to travel thousands of miles every year, but when those signals are disrupted by tower emissions, birds can lose their sense of direction, causing exhaustion, confusion, or even death during migration. Bats who use echolocation to hunt at night have been shown to avoid areas near strong radio signals, disrupting their feeding patterns and reducing populations. And insects like bees, critical pollinators that keep ecosystems alive, are extremely sensitive to electromagnetic changes. When bees lose their ability to navigate back to their hives, entire colonies can collapse. One environmental observer described it powerfully. When you realize that the sparrows have all disappeared, that in the evenings there are no bats flying in the dusk, and that you no longer hear owls hooting, then you begin to know what effect microwaves from cell towers and antennas are having on the environment. Even plants, the foundation of every ecosystem, are affected. Studies have found that electromagnetic radiation can alter plant metabolism at the cellular level, changing how they grow and how they respond to stress. That means trees and flowers we see in our national parks could be silently suffering from invisible interference. And beyond the unseen damage, there's the visible destruction. To build a single cell tower, land must be cleared, roads must be built, and the trees must be cut down. Habitats are disturbed, soil is compacted. The noise and light pollution from maintenance and signal lights can drive nocturnal animals away from their natural homes. These aren't temporary effects, they're permanent changes to the fragile ecosystems that evolved with our technology. National parks were created to protect these very things, to be sanctuaries for wildlife and nature's delicate balance. Every animal, every plant, every patch of land is part of that system. If we fill these spaces with towers and signals, we risk unraveling the balance piece by piece. Cell towers may connect us to each other, but they disconnect the natural world from the harmony it depends on, and once that harmony is lost, we cannot simply rebuild it. Think about the last time you were truly disconnected. No notifications, no buzzing, no pressure to check your phone. For most of us, these moments are rare. That's why national parks are so special. They offer a rare escape, a place to slow down, breathe, and just be present. But when we bring cell phone towers into these spaces, that experience begins to disappear. Writer Ryan Cooper puts it best in The Week. Some people don't appreciate the difference between a national park and a theme park. It's one thing to use your phone to warn your pals that the line at Space Mountain is 2 hours long. It's another thing to entirely tweet the coordinates of a baby moose sighting. Phones change the way we act. They make us less aware, less respectful, and more distracted. Visitors trying to enjoy the peace of the outdoors are constantly interrupted by someone's ringtone, call, or someone's next photo for social media. As Cooper writes, while people are trying to enjoy themselves, somebody's on their phone waving their hands and gesturing and walking around in a circle. It might seem like a small thing, but that constant presence of technology changes everything. It turns nature from an experience into a backdrop. The truth is, national parks were never meant to be places where we scroll and post. They were meant to be places where we pause and reflect. When we bring in cell towers, we don't just make it easier to use our phones, we make it harder to feel the wonder that the parks are supposed to inspire. Maybe part of the magic of national parks is that they don't have full service. That's what forces us to slow down and be fully present, even if it's for a little while.
The different way that we're experiencing parks is that we're doing it in a more interactive way, so we'll tweet it, we'll Instagram it.
We use Google Maps to find all sorts of parks to go camping in.
Airbnb, you can go look at trails and topo maps.
You know, I use birding apps to identify birds.
It's easier than ever.
The question is, where's the line?
Now, on the other hand, not everyone believes cell towers are a bad thing, and maybe they're not. There's a reason so many people and even park officials support the idea. For many visitors, having cell service isn't just about convenience, it's about safety. National parks cover some of the most remote and rugged land in the country, and as beautiful as they are, they can also be very dangerous. Each year, thousands of people get lost, injured, or stranded on hikes. In places without service, even a simple twisted ankle or wrong turn can become life-threatening. Cell phones allow visitors to call for help quickly instead of waiting hours or even days for someone to pass by. In that sense, cell service can literally save lives. The National Park Service has even used mobile coverage to improve emergency response systems. The rangers can locate distressed hikers faster, send weather warnings, or communicate during wildfires. Another benefit is access to information. With cell service, visitors can use apps for trail maps, animal safety guides, and real-time updates about closures or weather changes. This can help people make smarter decisions and avoid risky situations, especially new or inexperienced hikers. There's also a modern reality. People love sharing their adventures. Posting photos, tagging locations, and sharing experiences on social media can inspire others to explore nature too. In fact, some argue that social media helps national parks by encouraging tourism and appreciation for the outdoors. So yes, there's no denying that cell phone towers offer real advantages. They make communication easier, emergencies safer, but for families, solo hikers, park staff, that sense of connection can bring comfort and peace of mind. But here's the question we need to ask: at what cost? Because while phones may make parks safer, they also make them noisier, busier, and less meaningful. And maybe, just maybe, the feeling of being disconnected is exactly what makes national parks so powerful in the first place.